Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we are back at the beautiful Maxwell Place Pier in the beautiful city of Hoboken, New Jersey. And a person to my right is making his Pulse premiere, and we had to put him at the top of the show. And that is my man, Victor Lopez of the nonprofit What Hoboken Sounds Like. Victor, it is so great to have you.
Hello, Peter.
Wow,
Thank you for having me.
I absolutely love it. Absolutely. Victor, you are Hoboken, right? Born and
Yes.
bred, raised in the housing authority, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. And what are you doing? You are giving back to the community with the nonprofit that you started. And I just think that should be admired by many, many people at home. So thank you
you.
for that. I really
problem.
appreciate that. And we're so happy to feature you on this show because, as you know, we're a Hoboken show. We are a Hudson County show, but mainly focused on Hoboken through and through. Talk to me about why you decided to start this nonprofit.
It started in 2021. You know, it was during the pandemic era. I feel like the pandemic, it brought out a lot of the creativity in individuals. You know, it gave a lot of people time to think. So at that time frame, I started to think about the lack of diversity when it came to musicians within the city. You know, there's a large hip hop community in Hoboken that's really not featured as much. So I started off with that, and then eventually we started to see the diversity that wasn't shown as far as businesses and more. You know, a lot of the mom and pop businesses and even just startup businesses that weren't given that opportunity. So that was when we started to really just expand the focus of the brand itself.
Good for you, man. Absolutely. And, it was funny. We were talking before the segment started because, of course, we've had Brianna Piguero on the show before, and she
Yes.
gave you guys a shout out with that awesome sweater that she was wearing when she was on the show. And, I thought that you mainly did apparel, but I was way off. But apparel is part of it. So why don't you talk
Yeah.
about the apparel aspect?
So me and my wife, we've always been graphic designers for a very
Hmm.
long time now. And just this year in January, we broke into what are some ways we could expand to grow profit for our nonprofit business. So that way we could properly fund a lot of things. So we took our shot and we said, let's start designing apparel.
That's awesome. And where could people at home find that apparel?
They can find it at whathobokensoundslike.com.
Uh,
Most of the pieces are sold out, but we have a lot more coming in for a bunch of different things.
Yeah, no, and trust me, after this exposure on the Pulse of Peter B, hopefully you will be sold out. Okay, look, I'm just pumping our numbers up, you know what I mean? But people do watch us, I swear. We wouldn't be doing this for 5 years. Um, so, Victor, you have an event coming up,
Yes.
and I believe it's called the Summer BlockFest, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I was wondering if you can explain to the audience, what the event entails, why you're doing the events, and anything else you want to mention.
Okay. So yes, August 19th, we're gonna have the first ever hip hop and R&B festival here in Hoboken, and you know it's a major thing to see. You know, it came about through a long booking process within the city. I mean, it's a little flunky that needs to change now, but you know, it's been long overdue, and now to actually see this happening, we have over 25 plus artists right now and possibly still growing. We actually have the welcoming edition of School of Rock Hoboken that's going to be included in the set of those performances.
And where's it going to be held?
770 Jackson Street.
Oh, so in the housing authority. Okay.
Well,
No,
it's past it, actually.
Yeah, a few blocks past
We
it.
have
Okay.
like the
Oh, the
whole.
open part.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Next to that new development, but it's so close to the housing authority. So residents at the housing authority, who watch us a lot, by the way, need to get over there,
Yeah.
and actually the whole community need to get over there. That's awesome. How many artists are performing?
Over 25.
Over 25.
25.
So what gave you the idea to start this?
It travels back to, you know, the idea of the lack of diversity. You know, if you look at a lot of the other festivals within the city, I mean, no discredit to them and what they do, but it's not properly, you know, put together when you think about it. If it's an arts and music festival of all those types of sorts, then it should include other genres. And again, we have a large community of artists that were completely ignored or not given that proper opportunity. So when you look at it, you see a large amount of artists who are forced to feel like they're in competition with each other. You know, they
Yeah.
have the support of just the community, and they think that It's just a community, but there's over 55,000 more people in the city.
Unbelievable. And you mentioned School of Rock, which is, of course, a Hoboken
Yes.
group. Are a lot of these other artists also from the city of Hoboken?
Yes.
Oh, they are.
Everyone on our bill
No
is
way.
from Hoboken.
Why wouldn't you want to go support this event? And we have to give kudos. I almost said kudos. I'm thinking of breakfast here. It's early in the morning today. To Council President Emily Jabor, right?
Yes.
As she is one of the frontline sponsors for this event.
Yes. Emily Jabor, Michael Russo.
Oh, I didn't even know. Okay.
And still ongoing.
And still ongoing. And when is it?
August 19th.
August 19th. So you definitely want to get over there. And, once you put an event like this together, it really shows a sense of community because, let's face it, sometimes people in the housing authority feel like that they're the forgotten portion of Hoboken. And that is ridiculous because I went to school with people from the housing authority. A lot of my friends are from the housing authority and so on and so forth. And I'm from the opposite side of town. Yeah. And maybe because I was born and raised here that I don't forget, how I grew up.
Yeah, we
right
consider it, it's one city, one love, every
Amen.
portion of the city should be featured in a sense. And again, that's why we started this initiative from the very beginning to showcase that it isn't just this portion of the city, that portion of the city. No, we're all one city in general. There isn't a divided line. And, Jersey City, Newark, they've been so open to the arts and the music, and now Hoboken is obviously behind on that, so now we're changing the tides of it,
Amen. Good for you. And congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That really, really is. While we still have about 2 minutes here, Victor, why don't you discuss your background a little? Because I'm sure you just didn't wake up one day and say, well, listen, I want to start a nonprofit, what Hoboken Sounds Like. Of course, he's representing the shirt today and all that good stuff. You had to do something else beforehand. And, he talks about R&B and hip-hop, over at the Summer BlockFest. Certainly, that's kind of the background you have, too. And I think you need to mention that to the audience.
Well, at some point, I felt like, I was a former musician. Right. But just like many, I feel like so many artists have grown stagnant in their craft because there wasn't that type of support for, artists and stuff like that in this city. So, I became stagnant in my craft, but I never lost sight of what I wanted to do. I've always wanted to be involved in anything that had to do with music, from managing artists to designing cover arts for artists and just so much more. I've always involved myself in the art division of things.
Awesome. And I believe your wife does too, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's almost like a power couple of the arts.
Yes, most definitely.
I absolutely love that. We're running a little short of time here, Victor. Is there anything you want to say to the audience regarding, obviously, your nonprofits or the Summer BlockFest that's coming up on Saturday, August 19th? What was the times of that again?
2 p.m. to 7 p.m.
2 p.m. to 7 p.m. over at 770 Jackson Street. You got to go down there. I mean, it's just amazing what they did down there. It really is. Anyway, the floor is yours. Anything you want to say to the audience?
Just August 19th. We'll see you guys all there. Just be sure to witness history being made here in this city.
Exactly.
And let me just say shout out to my friend Tariq. All of this really just started with a hashtag, and that was what just blew up from there.
All right, Tariq, I love that. He's giving out the shout-outs. And, of course, shout out to his beautiful wife as well.
Thank you.
Exactly. Big fan of the show. I know she is. Well, Victor Lopez, congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
I'm just so happy to hear these success stories from people who were born and raised in this community, who want to bring the community together. And you got to give me that line again. One town, one love. Is that what you said?
One city, one love.
One city, one love. I love that. Absolutely. Victor Lopez, the chairman, I guess, of the nonprofit What Hoboken, and president of What Hoboken Sounds Like. Summer BlockFest, Saturday, August 19, 2 to 7 p.m., 770 Jackson Street. You're going to want to be there and see these artists.
Thank you
so
much.
See you soon, buddy. All right. All right, folks. We will be right back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching The Pulse with Peter B. and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. Welcome Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. And folks, you have asked for it over and over and over again. But I think he is the poop on the bottom of my shoe when by accident I step in it on sometimes the filthy streets of Hoboken. And that is, of course, our resident political analyst to my right, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, joining me as a guest today. Josh, great to see you.
It is great for you to see me, and the streets are always filthier when Peter Biancamano is wandering them like a homeless person.
Well, if you see Josh outside of his stoop on Washington Street, you would know who the real homeless person is as compared to the person who sleeps on the bench in front of his house.
I feel bad about disparaging the free range people sleeping on the street by comparing them to this bum to my left right now. I feel really bad about it.
Anyway, well, let's move on, Josh, because the folks at home have asked for a segment with the two of us, and we decided to wear the same color shirt today, but of course I make it look so much better because I don't have the extra weights.
He's waiting for an insult, but his existence is insult enough.
There you go. I absolutely love it. I'll let my parents know that you think that way.
Oh, wonderful people. You were like the rotten fruit that fell from their terrific tree.
Oh, my goodness. All right. We do have ward council elections coming up in Hoboken this November, November the 7th. And we want to do a little bit of a rapid fire in this segment regarding who you believe will be victorious and what races intrigue you.
Donald Trump.
Well, forget about him. I mean, another indictment came out, folks.
I'm writing in. Donald Trump.
Anyway,
all positions.
He's now facing 200 years in prison, but who's going to be talking
for
about that?
trumped-up charges.
Anyway, so, Josh, let's first discuss a ward that's going to have a new council person because, of course, Councilman Michael DeFusco decided that he was not going to run this year. He decided that 2 terms was enough. But right now, and of course, the petitions aren't due to the end of August, early September, I believe.
End of August.
End of August. So, we really don't know a lot of the races, how they're going to shape up. But it looks like this race has shaped up, and that is Paul Presenzano, who has run for council at large, versus Rafi Cordova, I believe his last name
is. His name.
Who's on the Rent and Stabilization Board, I believe it's called.
Yes, Rent Control and Stabilization Board.
Yeah. So who do you like in this race, and why does this race intrigue you?
Well, I have to say my favorite race is the Jewish race, but in that race,
only
in
a
that
religion.
Ward, he doesn't know what he's talking about. As usual, who knows what he's saying. But I think in that ward is absolutely a fantastic, dynamic race between two energized, capable, intelligent candidates that are competing for an empty seat. And so I honestly give that ward 100% 50-50 because, Paul, it's his second time running. He did very good for his first virgin run and the at-large, especially running it at-large without a mayoral candidate anchoring it at the top. He knocked on every door that he could. He was always out there knocking on doors, and he has a sizable war chest. On the other side, you got Rafi, who's an absolutely wonderful human being as well, who's running with the endorsement of the mayor, and the mayor's crew has a sizable heft behind them, both in terms of money, in terms of manpower, in terms of organization, in terms of machine. But Rafi's not been afraid to distance himself. Not in a negative way, just to distinguish himself from the larger Bala and Bala supporting group when he disagrees with them or think that they've dropped the ball on something. Again, not in a disagreeable way, just saying, hey, we need to do better in this area. So both have been critics of the status quo. Both have charisma. And honestly, I think at this point, it's 50-50.
50-50. All right. Well, we spent the first half of the segment just talking about the first ward and insulting each other.
You got 2 exciting candidates.
I agree. I think that's going to be.
And I don't want to hear your voice. So
Well, I think that I agree with you. I think that's going to be certainly the most watched race this November. But when we come back from commercial, folks, we are going to cover the other 5 ward races in rapid fire with, of course, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, our political analyst. We will be right back.
Welcome to Hudson River Care and Counseling. Hello, I'm Dr. Pam Pater-Ennis, the CEO and founder of Hudson River Care and Counseling with over 30 years of clinical social work experience in therapy. We are a progressive counseling and coaching practice with a diverse team that brings a holistic approach to clients. We offer support both in person and through digital platforms such as telehealth. Consider us a safe haven that you can trust with care for your mental health needs. Visit our website to set up a consultation today.
Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. Peter Biancamano still in the host chair and still joined by our resident political analyst, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, discussing the ward races this November in the city of Hoboken. Tuesday, November the 7th is the election. Let's move on to the second ward because, of course, we have the incumbent, Tiffany Fisher. She is running for her third term against Marla Decker, who has the support of Mayor Bala. Who do you like in this race?
This is nothing against Marla Decker, but I think Fisher is a lock. People in her ward love her for defending the neighborhood, for being against the pot dispensary that seemingly tried to do business with a sleight of hands, allegedly, renting the storefront by saying they're going to be something other than what they actually were. And she's been, absolutely tireless in fighting against the opening of that place. And people appreciate that. Again, it's nothing against Decker. It's just that people in Fisher's ward believe that she has fought for them.
And listen, there's plenty of time for Marla Decker, who is putting her foot in the political arena for the first time, to make up some ground against a very, very, very popular and powerful incumbent. So you could never say never in that race, correct?
No, and just earlier I took a pamphlet from Decker, and I've seen her at different community events. So she's definitely out there, shaking hands, kissing babies, and getting to know, making sure that people know that she's running. And getting out her campaign and her information.
Exactly. So, all right. The next two wards are the third and the fourth ward. And the reason why we're going to combine them is because you want to talk about popular council people in their respective wards. Of course, we have the longest serving councilman, a very good friend of the show, Councilman Michael Russo, running in the third ward. And then in the fourth ward, we have Ruben Ramos, who was on the city council before, went to the assembly for a number of years, and now back at the city council level. There's been no opposition announced against each of them. If there is going to be opposition announced in the next few weeks, are they still solids?
There's a 0% chance of someone other than them winning unless they drop out.
All right, perfect. So why don't we move on very, very quickly? And that is the fifth ward, where another very popular incumbent and a good friend of the show, Councilman Phil Cohen, going for his second term. As you remember, there was a very, very, very weak recall attempt against him that just fizzled out against Liz. And excuse me, Liz, for butchering your last name, so I'm going to make Josh say it.
Arteco, I think.
Okay, so he's butchered it as well. I believe it's Arteco as well. Who do you like in this race?
Well, I think Cohen's, it's not as much as a lock that Fisher has on her ward, but, I think Cohen has a lock on it. He's a consummate campaigner. He knocks on doors like a machine. When he's knocking on doors, he has that. I don't know how he maintains the positive attitude that he does, because knocking on doors is exceptionally annoying. But like he always has a smile on his face when he's campaigning. And so I don't think you can out-campaign him. Nothing against his opposition, but I think he will have somewhat of a challenge. I still think at the end of the day he wins, just because Liz Arteco, again, I apologize for butchering your name, has been known to be one of the leaders in the anti-dispensary movement in town that wants more, accountability for the dispensaries and the problems that come along with dispensaries, like people smoking trees everywhere, which, I think is a problem as well. So, I mean, she definitely does have a base of support. It's a question of, is that support going to open up its pocketbooks and its wallets for her, or is it going to show up as door knockers for her, helping her canvass the neighborhood and get out the vote? But at the end of the day, I think Cohen brings it home because, I mean, he is like, I'm like, when it comes to campaigning, he's the bionic man.
Right. And really quickly, because we have about 30 seconds left here, your home ward, the 6th ward, Councilwoman Jen Giattino, widely expected to run again. She will be on a future show, folks, so you want to tune in for that. There are a number of people who picked up petitions in the 6th ward. Manny Rivera Soler, who's been on the show before.
Great guy.
Ian Rintel, who also has been on the show before. And then Camp Bala has not announced a candidate to go against Jen Giattino. So this could be a four-pony race, as they say, in the 6th Ward. Who do you like in this one?
Well, when you said Camp Bala, it makes me think of a camp where they teach children how to run a town into the ground and ignore the massive taxation and all the rats in town. So I don't think Camp Bala, anyone should send their kids to Camp Bala. Again, not saying he's a bad human being. He seems to be a good family man. But Camp Bala would teach the kids all the wrong lessons. In the 6th Ward, Giatino takes it. People in her ward, I live there. People absolutely love her. There's a set of people that were, all together from the Zimmer days, and they've stayed behind Giatino. And so if she decides to run, then I think she takes it easy peasy, 1, 2, 3, easy.
All right, well, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, don't get used to him being next to me because I don't want to do segments with him. But apparently the folks at home like us doing segments together. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. All right, folks. When we come back, more of the Pulse with Peter B. You're not going to want to miss it. We will be right back. Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. And the person to my right needs absolutely no introduction because he can never get enough of us. He just wants to keep coming back over and over and over again. This is like the second time he has left us and been back. And of course, that is our former all-star videographer on the Pulse with Peter B, Mr. Greg Schultz. Greg, it's great to see you on the Pulse again.
Okay, just to be fair, I was, at home minding my own business, and I got a call saying, "Hey, Greg, we need you to cover for something."
That was exactly it. No, I mean, the truth is the truth, right? I mean, the scary thing about this, Greg, is that we actually have Josh Sotomayor Einstein behind the cameras working everything.
Oh, God, there go our numbers.
Yeah, the numbers are going down. And he's apparently flipping the bird to us as we speak. But anyway, Greg, you have been very busy since you've left the Pulse with Peter B, correct?
Yeah, I know. I ended up getting a full-time job and just, growing and doing my own thing, yeah.
Exactly, and it doesn't mean that he doesn't miss us. As he hesitated, I absolutely love that. But, forget about your full-time job. Let's talk about the stuff that you're doing on the side, as I like to say, the side hustles, as I like to say.
Why not?
So, you decided that you wanted to self-publish your own book called The Millionaire's Killer. Why did you decide to do this?
Okay, so the idea for the book, it's a murder mystery that takes place on board the Titanic. It was an idea that I've been, workshopping for, a couple of years now since the pandemic came. And I was Googling ways on how I can get this published, and there's this website called bookbaby.com, which is actually a self-publishing website, and basically you submit your manuscript, the PDF, you submit your own book cover design. You can also have it designed by you would have to obviously pay extra for it, but they work with you, so you cut out the middleman of having to submit something and see if whether or not they decide to publish it. With this, you get your own copies, and if you pay a little extra, you get it publicly distributed to Barnes & Noble and Amazon and other sorts of major bookstore websites.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So, and then do they sell it for you, or you said it gets published on all these different websites?
So it becomes available on.
I'm sorry, available. I said published. Sorry. Yeah.
No. It becomes available on major bookstore websites, and then you just have to get the word across to your friends and family. Hey, my book's available here, and with every purchase you get a little bit of a royalty.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And I tell you, with the Titanic being so popular these days, for obviously those ultra-rich guys that decided that they wanted to visit it
oh my God.
in a submarine that was controlled by a video game controller. Different story for a different time.
Yeah.
Look, they perished. Thoughts and prayers to the families and things like that. Obviously, we don't want to joke about people's death and so on and so forth. But
No.
certainly, it's made the Titanic a lot more popular again.
Yeah,
where
perfect.
Netflix, Paramount Plus have all released a movie again.
Yeah, perfect time to push the sales. Oh my God, I am so sorry.
I know.
Yeah.
It's insane. It really, really is. But so the Millionaire's Killer
Yes.
is obviously fictional.
Yes.
This isn't a true story that happened on the Titanic.
No.
But why did you decide to make it about a murder mystery on the Titanic?
So way back in 2019, I began just out of pure boredom, I decided to give Agatha Christie a try, and one of the first novels that I read was And Then There Were None. I remember starting reading it at 11 o'clock one night, and then I finished it at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Gotcha.
And that's when I realized that she earned the title Queen of Mystery for a reason.
Wow.
Kept me on the edge of my seat throughout the whole thing. And then after reading more and more of her mysteries, I kept getting ticked for two reasons.
Wow.
One, just when I thought I figured out who the killer was, it was somebody else. And two, not once did the butler do it. Not once. Where did that trope come from?
That is hysterical.
No, yeah, it's true. So then, after figuring out I maybe caught her formula, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot. And I don't know what happened, but I guess I did catch the formula because everyone that's read the book so far was baffled by the plot twist. I'm not gonna say who it was, but they were honestly surprised by the plot twist on who it was. And I'll never forget my dad, who passed away back in February. One of the things he said to me when he
we're
read
very
it.
sorry for your loss, and the Pulse obviously sent.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
their condolences and all that.
He texted me saying, "You wily old crud." That was his exact word. He said, "I cannot believe you got me." So when you are able to fool your readers, that's when you know you did a good job with writing.
Right.
To get back to a question you had off screen, was The Millionaire's Killer. It's based on the terminology of how the Titanic was referred to as the millionaire's ship, how Captain Smith was referred to as the millionaire's captain because all the millionaires loved him.
Right.
Some of them booked voyage just so that they could travel with him.
Mm.
So, and in essence, the victim is in fact a millionaire.
Interesting.
So it's just a matter of who wanted to kill him and why and how, basically.
Interesting.
So,
All right. Well, and this leads to something else that you're doing, and this was just breaking news. I think it happened last weekend or something that you shot me a text. I was actually going to see the Book of Mormon when you texted me this, so
God.
it was the perfect timing on Broadway.
Yeah.
And that is that you were casted in your very own.
Well, not my own, but
I'm sorry, but it's your theaters, I should say. I was going to say
Yeah.
your very own theaters production of the Titanic.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about the Titanic? I mean, it's it's so prevalent that we're spending 9 minutes on the Pulse talking about it.
I
today.
know. That's
so
what
talk
happens.
to me about that, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So, unrelated, completely unrelated. One of my theaters that I did one show in was holding auditions for it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot because this is something that I've always wanted to do. And surprisingly, I got a supporting role for it. And it's not just me. There was a bunch of people, cast and crew that considered this kind of show a passion project.
Right.
Because when you hear of Titanic the musical, you think to yourself, oh God, how can they possibly make a musical about this? But when you actually give it a shot, you'll realize that they actually, did a huge service, to, the passengers and crew.
Absolutely.
Fiction or nonfiction. So.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And when does that play? Where could people get tickets? Well, I don't know if tickets are still available.
Well, they're not
yet.
available yet.
But when is it? So people could be on the lookout for
So
it.
it'll be at the Old Library Theater in Fair and Lawn, New Jersey.
Not far from here at all.
No, not at
Yeah.
all. Tickets will be available on their website closer to the date. The opening night is Friday, October 13th. I know that sounds so bad.
Right, I was gonna say.
But it's for 2 weekends, October 13th, 14th, 15th, and the next weekend. I forgot what those dates are,
Well,
but it's
whatever
a
the
Friday,
weekends.
Saturday, and Sunday matinee kind of thing.
Right. It'll
So-
probably be the 20th, the 21st, and 22nd.
Yes, that's
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
So tickets.
I
will-
could do simple math sometimes.
so tickets will be available on their website, Old Library Theater. Just Google it and you'll find the website. So
Well, look, I mean, and it'll be right around Halloween, so you can come and dressed up in your favorite Titanic attire
my
from the
God.
19. When did the Titanic go down? 1918,
19
I believe.
1912.
1912. I was close. I was very
No,
close.
you
6
weren't.
years. Oh, lost
By
it.
70 years.
Anyway, well, Greg Schultz, you're always invited to come back on the show. It's always a
course.
pleasure to see you, and best of luck in all of your endeavors that you're doing outside of this world.
Thank you so much, and best of luck with you guys.
Absolutely. Well, you'll be back, trust me.
Oh,
Anyway, thanks again, buddy. All right, folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. I hope you have a great week, everybody.